Alright, just gonna wing this, alright? Hey guys, welcome to the Cube plus N. I'm N. And today we're gonna be talking about some castronomical events that took place a bit ago. And yeah, that's right, it's the Cuban Revolution. Pretty much it's the rebellion led by Fidel Castro that changed Cuba forever, after seizing Batista and all them. And we're not only going to discuss how it went down, but how it affects us today. And yeah, it's going to be a fun time, and we'll be playing some hot hits, and we're even going to interview Fidel Castro himself. And we're going to finally find out if America is divided and following the same path. Uh, so we're really going to dive into this, starting with the incubation period, which is basically what led to the war. And it basically started for Fulgencio Batista becoming president after already serving a first term, which led to a lot of government injustice through gambling. So it was really just weak rulers and class antagonism, along with Fidel Castro viewing the nation as politically weak. So he actually launched an attack and was sent to prison, which is honestly like the beginning symptoms of the revolution. Yeah. Alright, so before we move on to the next stage, I kind of want to play a quick hit by Coldplay called Viva La Vida that I really feel expresses the incubation stage when he says, I used to rule the world, seas would rise when I gave the word, now in the mornings I sleep alone. It's kind of what I feel Batista is thinking when Fidel Castro begins implanting like a disease in his society that eventually, completely destroys his views and images and everything he hoped for. And yeah.
I used to rule the world, seas would rise when I gave the word. Now in the morning I sleep alone, sweep the streets I used to own.
So as we go on, we get to the moderate stage of the Cuban Revolution, which is when the war between Batista and Castro's army begins. So Fidel starts building a rebellion, and it turns out that the rebels end up being better, which is dual sovereignty. Because not only did they have sheer numbers, they actually beat Batista's larger army, which is a rule of force, and that sets the stage for the actual crisis to occur. Yeah. Once again, we're playing the hottest hits, so I'm gonna play a song that I really think you guys will like, which is, The Revolution Will Not Be Televised by Jill Scott Heron. And I just think it really sets the tone for what's actually happening with the lyrics. You will not be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn in, and watch your television, which is basically saying that it's a time of revolution, and everybody has to stand up and fight, which is basically what Fidel Castro is saying to the people.
You will not be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for beer during commercials because the revolution will not be televised.
Crisis stage, we break out into full-scale violence, and that can be seen between the war between Batista and Castro's rebels, which finally blows out of proportion and is just a mass murder, violence everywhere, and it actually ends up in Fidel kicking out Batista, so the radicals actually end up victorious, and that can help us move on to the recovery stage. I almost forgot that we actually have to play a song before I go on to the recovery stage. And what I have for you, audience, is Rage Against the Machine's Take the Power Back. And I think this is kind of self-explanatory, with the chorus just screaming, "We gotta take the power back, we gotta take the power back." But I think it's just like the hard-hitting instrumentals and the way that it just screams revolution and violence, which I feel really embodies what the crisis stage was all about, is taking the power back and giving it to the people away from the oppressive government.
Some change at the counteract. We gotta take the power back. We gotta take the power back. Come on, come on.
So, during the recovery stage, what finally happens is Fidel takes over Cuba as the overall prime minister. So the tyrants end up ruling Cuba. And surprisingly, the Cuban Missile Crisis, which took place, is also a recovery, since it shows aggressive nationalism between the rebels. That's the recovery stage. After what happened, wasn't really a recovery, but it works.
The stream, this terrible silence stops in there. Now that the war is through with me, I'm waking up.
So one of the most important events, I think, in the revolution was on July 26, 1943, at 6 a.m., Fidel Castro and his brother Raul led a group of approximately around 120 rebels in an attack on the second largest military garrison in Cuba, which is the Moncada Barracks, and the attack was actually unsuccessful, but it really sparked the revolution and what would further come of it. For my second significant event, I have Batista's fall, which is basically he was getting desperate after Fidel and his rebels were actually beating him and getting more and more support. So Batista decided that he would send an all-out attack on Castro's guerrillas, which is very unsuccessful, leading to a number of embarrassments and even a battalion surrendering their weapons over. And I think this is important because its impact was that this basically won them the war and basically made the revolution a revolution because it's a successful rebellion.
It is breaking down on a camel's back. They just have to go 'cause they don't know where. So all you feel was
So basically, for my third and final significant event, I'm gonna do Castro being sworn as the Prime Minister of Cuba in 1956, I believe. And this is because it's just, I think it's what made the revolution really a revolution. He led the guerrilla campaign and forced the right-wing dictator Batista into exile. And it's basically the resolution of a revolution. Ooh, fire! And I think it's really significant. And for the song, I choose Pharrell Williams' "Happy," and you might think it's concrete because it's just like, oh, everyone's happy that the thing is. No. If you look in the lyrics, it says, it might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine's here, you can take a break. I'm in a hot umbrella, I could go to space. While in the air, I don't care, baby, by the way. And I think that's just important, because it's not just saying, oh, we're all happy. It's like, let's all come together in a union and share this victory together under the rule of Fidel Castro. And yeah. So, for my two main people, I'm not going to be really creative with it, and I'm just going to go ahead and say that the two most important people were Batista and Castro. And it's pretty self-explanatory, because their parts in the revolution is Batista was the the oppressor, and he was like the leader of all the injustice, and Fidel was the tyrant and the rebel, and it's just basically an antagonist versus a sort of protagonist, not really agreeing with the whole communist thingy, but yeah. And I think that what really got it, real good song that concludes this, is probably "You Got a Friend in Me" from Toy Story. And this is because I feel like without Castro, Batista couldn't be Batista, and without Batista, Castro couldn't be Castro. And that's how I'm gonna put it. And yeah, and now we have an actual interview after I play the song with the man himself, Fidel Castro. Let's get it.
You've got a friend in me.
Alright, welcome back, Q Plus N, coolest podcast in the world, and I actually have with me Fidel Castro himself. Let's say, what's up, Fidel?
What's good, fam?
Alright, that's cool. Alright, Fidel, so, what made you want to rebel so badly against Batista?
I saw Cuba heading into certain doom, so I had to make a choice between stepping up and resisting, or watching my people die all around me.
That's pretty not that interesting. Do you think it was worth it, or what are your opinions on how it went?
Yes, it is, but that is the cost of freedom, my friend.
Alright. I also wanted to ask, I've been hearing some stuff about you being a communist. I'm not sure if that's true or not. Can you tell me?
No comment.
Okay, you want to be like that? Okay. So, what can we be expecting you from in the future, or any future plans, or?
I'm kinda dead right now, so I'm not sure.
Oh, okay, that's kind of awkward. Took a while to respond, but yeah. So that's Fidel Castro, everybody. We're just gonna head on with the show. Thanks for being here. Okay, bye. Alright, we're back from that awkward encounter with Fidel, but it's all good. So now we're gonna talk about the short-term and long-term effects of the Cuban Revolution, and so what basically there was really no short-term effects besides inequality having lowered and poverty reduced, because Castro didn't really do much. And the long-term effects is there was a Cuban refugee crisis because Castro actually ended up being an oppressive ruler like Batista was, and it also led to the embargo on Cuban the shipments, products, something, you get the idea. And I think this was actually lifted a bit ago, since we're actually now talking to Cuba for the first time in years. And yeah. Oh, and I forgot that, what's it called? I have a song, and my song for the outcome is actually Congrats by Post Malone. And I just want to say, like, a big congratulations to Cuba for, doing a revolution and all that, and ending right back to where they were. And it was great. I was so happy about that.
Won't be nothing. Now they always say congratulations. Work so hard, forgot how to vacation. They ain't never had to dedicate.
Alright, fam. Last but not least, before I have to end this podcast, I'm gonna spit a neato freestyle about the Cuban Revolution that counts as a poem and how I feel about it. Okay. Alright, ready? Cuba, that peaceful like Buddha. Fidel Castro, what a disastro. That didn't make sense. I get hella sense, and I make sense with my friends. Okay, Cuba, don't mess with like gorillas or sharpshooters in the hood. What's good? My name's Eric. I'm really generic. I love Cuba. I love America. of Australia. It's great. Revolutions aren't that fun until resolutions are done. Okay? That's it. Have a good night and sit. So, in conclusion, is America divided? Hell yeah. We are definitely experiencing some things that Cuba did in the incubation stage, like class antagonism and economic failure and weak leaders in some people's opinions. I'm not saying we have weak leaders, but some other people say we have weak leaders. So please, Trump fans, don't hate me. And the articles are definitely showing that, even like from the articles, the statistics show that America doesn't really have faith. And I think it just takes one person to try to make a difference and, be a Fidel Castro and, potentially, cause a revolution in America. And that's fucking great. And yeah, I mean, wait, I didn't mean to say that. Oops.